Hello and welcome to Lost Love Mystery, where we explore the twists and turns of love, the pain of betrayal, and the mysteries that lie hidden in the heart. Me 27, my fiancé 26, let us call her L, and my father 52, let us call him B. My mother is 50 years old. Like many who have gone through something similar, I never thought something like this would happen to me, but here we are. I have never used Reddit, but I have seen stories from here on TikTok, so I thought I would give it a try to see if you can give me some advice. From hearing other stories, I know you like context, so I will try to be as clear and precise as possible, but it has only been a week, so if I miss a little bit while telling it, I am sorry. Elle and I met in her freshman year of college. We both lived in the same dorm building, where we eventually met. We later found out that we lived 2 towns away from each other, so when we went home, I would let her ride with me in the car. It only added about 20 minutes to the trip, so it was not a big deal. After multiple trips and spending time together at school, we started dating. I have a close-knit family, as does she, so we told our families right away. I had already met her family a few times when I dropped her off at her house, but it had only been introductions and greetings. Our families welcomed us with open arms, and our relationship grew. I was a year ahead of her, so when I graduated, I moved back home, where I was offered a good job with an excellent salary. I would visit her at college whenever I could, and when she came home, we always made time to see each other. After she graduated, she moved in with me since we both had jobs in the city near where we grew up. Like me, she was offered a position at the company she currently works at with a good salary. After living together for about 3 years, I proposed, and we have been planning our wedding ever since. Now to the part everyone was waiting for. Looking back, there were a lot of things I overlooked that I just assumed were part of my dad trying to welcome my ex into the family. Things like my father calling her all the time, and if I was around, they would tell me that they were just talking about the next family get-together or something like that. One time, he was in the shower, and his phone rang. I saw that it was my dad, so I answered. When she realized it was me, she sounded both annoyed and surprised that I had answered. Then I asked her what was up. She replied that she wanted to talk to him about my mom's birthday, which would be in a week, and after a minute, we got off the phone. Even writing this now, I feel like such an idiot for not seeing it sooner. The day I found out was like any other day. Elle had Thursdays off, so she made breakfast for both of us before I left for work. She kissed me and told me to have a great day. On my drive to work, I realized I had forgotten some papers that I would need for a meeting I had at 3 p.m. I shrugged it off and told myself I would just go home at lunch to get them. Elle texted me throughout the day, talking about everyday things, like what she wanted for dinner, that she had done laundry, and if I wanted her to hang up the clothes, blah, blah, blah. I did not think it was necessary to tell her that I was going to go home at lunch, so when the time came, I just left work and went home. When I arrived, I noticed a car that looked like my father's in the parking lot, but I brushed it off and just parked and went inside the building. When I opened the door, I walked into a movie scene where a man comes home early and finds his partner cheating on him. So cliché. There was a trail of clothes, both hers and his, leading to my bedroom, and the sound of faint moaning echoed through my apartment. I just stood in the doorway in shock. My mind was a mixture of anger, sadness, and disgust, but if you had been a fly on the wall, you would have seen what looked like a statue. I just could not move. When I finally snapped out of it, not knowing how long I had been standing there, I pulled out my phone to record. I picked up all the clothes that were on the floor and threw them out into the building hallway. I then recorded my walk to the bedroom. The door was open. I stood in the doorway recording for about a minute, then turned on the lights. They both jumped at the sudden light and looked at me, and to my utter surprise, it was my father in bed with her. After the initial shock, my father realized I was recording and started panicking, trying to find something to cover himself with, and telling me to stop recording. He found a towel, wrapped it around himself, and started walking towards me. I told him that if he did not want to get hurt, to stop coming closer. I do not know if he did not care or did not hear me, but he reached out to try to grab my phone. I punched him square in the jaw, his head bounced off the door, and he crumpled to the floor. Elle let out a scream. I pointed the camera at Elle and said, "Worried about your friend, but you have nothing to say to your fiancé?" My father woke up after about a minute, and I told them I had just come to pick something up for work, so I was heading back out. If either of you are still here when I get back, I am sending this video to everyone you know. I ended the video, looked at my father who was still recovering, and said, "You are dead to me. You are not my father anymore. but maybe you should go home and talk to Mom, because I will be talking to her very soon. I sat in my car for a while until one of the bosses from work called to ask where I was. I told her I was on my way back. When I got to her office to give her the papers, I must have looked like a wreck, because she started asking what was wrong. I told her it was nothing, and I would be fine. I could see her scanning me up and down, and she noticed some blood on my neck. She stood up, walked over quickly, and said, "You are bleeding." I looked down and told her it was from my father. She looked confused, so I pulled out my phone and showed her the video. She watched the entire thing. She had met Elle a few times, but never my father. She sat silently for a moment until it finally clicked that my fiancé was cheating on me. Not only that, but doing it with my father. She asked if there was anything she could do, suggesting that I take some time off, but I told her I could not go back there right then, that I just needed a minute, and I would be fine for the meeting, and I had another shirt in my office. The meeting went fine. I put on a smile for everyone like nothing had happened. My boss came up to me after the meeting and asked how I could do that, but I just told her I did not know and went to my office. Then I went back home and was alone for the first time in a while. Thanks for reading. Sorry for the long rant, but it was therapeutic to write it all out. I just do not know what to do. I definitely need to get out of this apartment. I cannot keep living here, and there is no way I can sleep in that bed. I know I not only need to get an STD check, but I also think I broke something in my hand. Update 1. After writing out everything that happened, I closed my computer and just kind of went into a slump. After posting, it hit me like a train. For those who think this is fake, I wish I was that creative. I would be writing books instead of working a 9 to 5. I will try to answer more in this post. I just logged back in, and it was honestly too much to try and reply to every comment. Just know I read most if not all of them and really appreciate everyone's input, negative and positive. The day after posting, I tried to get in contact with my mom, but none of my calls were going through. I wanted to see if I could have lunch with her and tell her everything. After about 12 attempts, I decided to hop in my car and head over to my mom's house. She needed to know what happened ASAP, even if talking about it was going to make it hurt all over again. On the drive there, I thought about what I would say and how I would say it, which made me start panicking. I had to pull over twice to puke. It is not every day that you have to tell your mom her husband is sleeping with your fiancé. I got to the driveway and just sat in my car for a second to calm myself down and collect my thoughts. I was in my car for maybe a few minutes when my mom threw open her front door, so I got out of the car. She started cussing me out, telling me how dare I come to her house after I had hit my father for trying to break up a fight between him and Elle. She called me every name in the book, told me I was an abuser and needed to leave as Elle was not ready to forgive me yet. And if she was smart, hopefully she never would. Yeah. Apparently my father took Elle to my family's house and told my mom that Elle and I got into an argument, and when my father tried to break it up, I hit him. She went on for a while until I finally snapped and told her, "Seriously, Mom? Because your husband is screwing my fiancé. That is why I hit him. And if you cannot believe me, I have a video. I will send it to you. But since my own mom can talk to me like this, do not expect to see me again. I do not want to hear your apologies when you finally realize you are a garbage mom, just like my garbage father." Her face fell. She looked like how I must have looked when I walked into my apartment and caught them. I pulled out my phone and sent her the video. My mom pulled out her phone, turned it on, played the video, and watched it up until the point where I turned on the lights. She then lowered her phone, looked at me, but I turned around and got in my car. I backed out of her driveway and looked at her before I drove off. She was crying. My heart hurt for her, but too much was said during that fight for me to turn around and forgive her. When I got home, I started removing everything from my apartment that had to do with Elle or my family. I packed up Elle's stuff and put it outside the front door. Legally, this has been her place of residence. So technically, I cannot kick her out. Her name is not on the lease. Also, she is the type of person to avoid conflict. And if she comes back for anything besides getting her stuff, there will be a lot of conflict. Everything that had to do with my parents I packed up as well. As I mentioned in my first post, we were a close-knit family, but I have never had a problem cutting toxic people from my life. I texted Elle's parents and told them the wedding was off, still being constructed, but they were kind and supportive, so that just added more hurt to the mix. I ended up asking them if they could come get all of her belongings. I have not heard back from them yet, but I hope they come to get her stuff so Elle does not have a reason to come back here. Update 2. Everything hits me in waves. I go from completely numb to boiling rage. I have not had a happy moment since I found everything out, and other than a few friends, I have no one in real life. Especially since my family turned out to be crap. A few things have happened since my last post. It has been about a month, so this update will cover everything that has been going on. After my last post, I decided to set in motion everything that needed to get done, like getting tested, finding a therapist, moving, and of course, buying a new bed. I started by calling my doctor's office, telling them I needed to get tested and to get referred to a therapist. I had my first therapist appointment 2 weeks ago, and we decided to continue once a week. I also got tested last week, but it will be another week or so until I get the results. Cross your fingers for me. I contacted a friend who is a real estate agent, and he sent me over a bunch of listings. I settled on a renovated cabin on the outskirts of my town. I finished moving in 2 days ago. When I was finished moving in, I called Elle's parents. When they answered, I told them I moved out. Elle had not picked up her stuff yet, and the landlord would start showing the apartment in a few days, so someone should get her stuff before the landlord throws it out. That must have lit a fire, because the next day my old landlord messaged me, thanking me for emptying out the apartment. No one knows where I live now except the friend who got me this place. So I know Elle or my parents will not be showing up here. The only bad part about this place is I traded a 10-minute walk to work for a 45-minute car ride. My phone has been blowing up with texts and calls from Elle, my parents, and some friends, but I have zero interest in talking to anyone except my therapist. At work, I have been a ghost. I go in, do my job, and leave. On the rare occasions I have to talk to someone, I put on my fake smile and pretend like everything is okay. My boss from the previous post has been trying to check in on me, but I do not really tell her anything. I just tell her I appreciate it, but I will be okay. The truth is I do not know if I will be okay. I understand that time heals all, but I feel like that only applies when you are dealing with one problem, not when you lose the 3 people you thought were closest in your life all at the same time. A huge part of me died, and there is no bringing it back. The sessions with my therapist are going well, I guess. I have never done therapy before, so I have no baseline for what good therapy is. We get along, and she seems genuinely interested in helping. The first session was us getting to know each other and getting deeper into what brought me to her. Nothing deep. I just told her what happened in my own words. The second session we dove in a little deeper. She asked me about the relationship I had with my parents. I told her that, up until now, it was great. We talked often, always communicated well when something was going wrong, and I grew up in a great household. But all that does not mean anything now. She asked why I cut my mom out of my life. I told her she said things to me that I would not say to someone I despised, and there is no coming back from that. At the end of our last session, I gave her the link to my page here, so she can read more about how I am feeling and what is going on in my head. I feel it is easier to type things out rather than say them. So if you are reading this, hi doc. For now, I am still miserable. I thought I would be okay by now. Not necessarily happy, but at least okay. I know part of this is my fault for not communicating with my friends, but when I think about replying to them, it just feels exhausting. I know they will want to hang out or come over to my new place, but I just do not have the energy to be around them. Until I do, I will work, go to my appointments, and sit on my back deck, sipping cheap whiskey and trying to enjoy this beautiful view. I have not fished since high school, so maybe I will pick that up again now that I can fish from my back porch. Final update. I am writing this update to let you know I am alive and to tell you about what has been going on recently. First, I want to apologize to those who have been concerned about me in the last few months. After my last post, I was nowhere near okay, so I pulled away from everything. I isolated myself so I could heal and come to terms with what my life is now. I want you to know that every comment and message did not fall on deaf ears. I took all of your positive feedback and advice and used it to work through my problems. So to the people who have supported me throughout all of this, thank you, truly. I cannot stress enough, when I was at my lowest point, it was strangers on the internet who were there for me. So, once again, thank you all. In my last post, I was doing things like getting tested for STDs and trying to restart my life. I am happy to report that I am clean and could not be more relieved about that. I fully moved into my new place. When I told you about my new home, I told you it was a renovated cabin. Well, maybe I was being a little generous with that description. It was renovated maybe 25 or 30 years ago, so it was a little dated. With all my free time, I decided to renovate it myself, and the only thing left to do is paint the spare bedroom, which I converted into an office. The only thing I did not do myself was the electric and plumbing, because I have no idea how to do that and no interest in getting electrocuted or sticking my hand in a pipe. Doing all the work has been incredibly freeing, and it has helped clear my head. I still see my therapist once a week. To everyone who suggested that, you probably saved my life, so thank you. Being able to vent, get out my frustrations, and get the advice I need has been better than anything in my past life, or lack thereof. I am still working at the same company. I have become more open with some of my closer coworkers, which is nice. And my boss from the previous posts has become someone I consider a friend, thanks to advice from my therapist. Also, because of her and some of her advice, I have reconnected with my friends and have slowly started integrating myself back into the group. Now for the update about what has been happening between my family and ex. I decided I was ready to talk to my mom. So a little over a month ago, I unblocked her on my phone and reached out to her. I called her, and almost instantly she picked up. I could tell by the tone of her voice that she was nervous. Finally, after assuring her it was me, I told her we should meet up and talk. She agreed, and the following day we met at a coffee shop near her house. She got there before me, and when she saw me, she started silently crying. When I sat down, she apologized over and over, telling me that she could only believe them because she never thought they would ever get together. I told her that while I appreciated her apology, the things she said were despicable, things no mother should say to her child, and that showed me exactly what she thought of me. She cried harder and promised me that was not true, that when she was told I hit my father for no reason, she was enraged, and when I got to the house, she just let her anger take over. Not wanting to get into it with her, I decided to move on. I said, "Speaking of, what have you decided to do with him?" She told me that they had separated. She kicked him out of the house the next day after I sent her the video and immediately sought out a lawyer. We then moved on to talk about my ex. She told me that when I moved out, she went back to the house and kicked them both out. She was too disgusted to even look at them. We talked for about an hour total, and before I left, I told her I was in a dark place in my life, and because of the things she said to me, I did not have my mom when I needed her most, and because of that, I do not know if I can have her in my life. I then told her I was open to working on our relationship, but it would be at my own pace. She stopped me before I could leave and told me she needed to tell me something important. I sat back down, and she said that Elle is pregnant. Apparently, Elle showed up at the house and told my mom that she does not know if the baby is mine or my father's. Elle asked her if she had been in contact with me to let me know. Obviously, she has not, so my mom just kicked her out.